is up, my jammer and jamettes? Welcome back to a very, very exciting episode of the Cam Sports Jam. So much going on right now in sports, mainly college football and also NFL getting close to playoff time. But wow, college football. Alongside me, as always, my main man, Stephen Burkheimer, my co-host. Stephen, how are you feeling tonight?
Living the dream as always. Yourself?
No, we're here and I'm very excited about
On
talking about a
top,
lot
for
of this.
sure.
It's very, very tough to fathom some of the scenarios that are going on in the college football playoff right now.
Cloudy to say the least.
To say the least, it's foggy with a slight chance of a lot of clouds right now for the college football playoffs. But obviously, it's going to be very, very exciting. This weekend is going to detail, a very good picture of what we are going to know about the college football playoff. But before we begin, I want to give a shout out to our title sponsor, the Good Samaritans Medical Transport. For all your transport needs, just call Good Samaritans Medical Transport. Good Samaritans Medical Transport, service that exceeds expectations. This week, a little bit different than what we normally do, Jammers. I know we usually do our local segment where we talk about some of the local DC sports teams and focus on a lot of that. We got too much to talk about with other stuff going on. We're going to skip through some of that stuff because not a lot has happened in the baseball world, in the hockey world, and in the basketball world. Gosh.
Oh, we won a game. Oh.
Never mind. There's plenty to talk about. We're skipping that. There's huge, huge implications coming up this week, both in the NFL, but mainly in college. If you're a college football fan, you are very, very excited for this weekend because there are some big, huge, huge matchups with, like I said, massive implications going on for the college football playoff. I think this year, if would you agree with me, Steve, is going to be one of the most controversial slash exciting years that we've seen since they went to the 4-team playoff format.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I'm ecstatic about this. I love college football. I root for Maryland, but I'm more of a fan of the game. These kids go out there; they have no paycheck to play for. They're just playing for themselves, their coaches, their teammates. They just go out there, give it their all, and they're all out there to win the game. So the situations only make it more exciting, and I am pumped about it.
No, me too. Me too. I love the whole idea of the college football and the pressure that goes in on winning and the pressure that goes in on losing. It's very, very detrimental to have a loss on your resume, and it makes every week more and more exciting, even when you're playing. I'm not going to throw a name out there because I don't want to disrespect any school, but even when you're playing uh, maybe mediocre or lesser competition, there's still a significant importance in you gaining that victory. And then when there is a formidable opponent, it's even more vital that you pull off this win because it's do or die. It's almost a college basketball type feel every season for college football. It's almost do or die almost every week. Where if you lose, it's like your season. It's almost over because you feel like your chances kind of just went out the window. But in actuality, if you kind of keep taking care of business, you can have one loss on your resume, and you can get in. Such as, whoa, I'm not going to release that information yet. Let's talk about the latest that's going on in the college football playoffs. So here's a breakdown of the top 10 that just got released Tuesday night. Alabama still number 1, Ohio State number 2, Michigan 3, Clemson 4. We got Washington at 5, Wisconsin at 6, Penn State at 7, Oklahoma after a big victory against West Virginia at 8, Colorado at 9, and then Oklahoma State at 10. So that's what the top 10 looks like. Does that sound right to you, Steve?
That sounds pretty accurate to me. I don't have any issues with any of it. Only in the sense that I have kind of a prelude to later possibly. Wisconsin as a better team than what Washington's playing as right now. Aside from that, Oklahoma State they got shafted earlier in the season. They should be a one-loss team. They should be up there around 7. I'd put them around 7, but
That is something to talk about. But go on. I'm sorry.
no, that was pretty much my main focus in the top 10 right there. Outside of that, I'm comfortable with where they have everybody else.
You know, I, I'm comfortable with it too, and I do agree that Oklahoma State victory could be a factor in this year's playoff. But to tell you the truth, I see them, Oklahoma and OK State, have a bye this week, and they won't play each other until next week.
Correct.
And I do think that situation will right itself. I think Oklahoma's playing tremendously well, and I think Oklahoma wins that football game. And I think we can kind of, at the moment, you're right. If if everything was done fairly, they deserved that victory over Central Michigan, and they would be higher. But I would see Oklahoma leaping them because I do still think Oklahoma's a better team, and I think they'll win. So I think that situation will right itself. But you got a couple other matchups that still have a lot to dictate in this college football playoff. You look at that, obviously, the most notable one, the game, Michigan versus Ohio State at the Horseshoe in Columbus. Massive, massive implications going on for that football game. Both of these teams looking at do or die for that win. You know, virtually their seasons are both riding on that game. If they lose, Ohio State does not go on to the Big Ten championship, does not play more games. That's the end of their story in terms of presenting a resume to the committee. That is the end of it for them. And vice versa, Michigan. If Michigan loses that game, then that's the end of their story to present to the resume. Both teams, if they lose, will have 2 losses, and that's their story. But look who creeps in, number 7, Penn State. If Michigan happens to lose and Penn State wins against Michigan State this week, they will represent over Ohio State and over Michigan, and that will stir the pot even more. Because you look at them, most likely going to a Big Ten Conference Championship against the Wisconsin Badgers, who play Minnesota this week, which is no chippy, but most likely going to win that game. The scenario for the Big Ten, it's looking like even if Ohio State wins, Penn State still has a tiebreaker if Penn State wins. So even if Ohio State wins, their season could be over, regular season wise. Their regular season could be over if Penn State pulls out the victory, because then Penn State has the tiebreak against these teams.
Right.
And so I mean this is wild, and it's hard to say who's going to get in. You got a Washington team playing against Washington State this week. It's rivalry week, and it is at its greatest right now because the pot is it's boiling, like it's boiling over, and the scenarios are just like flying everywhere, and it's very hard to fathom all the different outcomes of this. But Wisconsin versus Minnesota, are you comfortable saying Wisconsin's going to pull off that victory?
Yes.
So most likely, we're pretty confident in that. I agree with you. Most likely, Wisconsin is going to represent.
Yes, I feel confident in that. Yes.
The Big Ten West. Who do you see representing for the Big Ten East?
That's tough because I can see a Penn State slip up this week against Michigan State. Michigan State the past couple of weeks
they played hard.
Really good football.
They've played hard.
I don't. Somebody lit a fire under them, and I like it.
Well, here's the thing: if you think D'Antoni is going to just roll over, he wants to make this thing wild. There is no doubt in my mind. Michigan State wants to spoil this for Penn State.
Absolutely.
As a team that was in the playoff last year, they don't want any of their opponents representing at all. They want to spoil this show for Penn State. So you better believe that Michigan State is going to come out and play hard. So you're right. This is no chippy for Penn State.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that game as well. So big Ten matchups this weekend are are something to keep an eye on for sure.
I mean, yes, and others.
So,
But yeah, there's so
obviously,
many.
yeah, I know. It's just great. I'm
It
more than
is.
excited. But in that, I'll take both of them winning and then playing each other.
So Penn State will play Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I think that scenario makes the most sense. So let's say we have. Can you agree that Alabama is going to be in?
I think Alabama's in regardless.
We can agree on that. Would you agree Clemson is going to be in? They have a matchup against a very, very average at best South Carolina team. I know it's a rivalry game. This is rivalry week.
Kind words.
I know it's a rivalry game, but like South Carolina has been very, very mediocre. And,
Yeah,
and
I'm
I feel like
comfortable.
that's being nice to you, Gamecocks.
Yeah.
You've been bad. You've been bad.
Comfortable in saying Clemson's in as well.
Okay, so Clemson will represent in the ACC championship. They will pull off this victory, and they will extend their resume. So we have Bama and Clemson in. Give me your third team that you see getting into this.
My third team, even though they will not be representing their side of their division in the conference, is Ohio State. So I think they take care of business. I don't want to say by default, but with Spates out against Michigan, emotion can get you so far. But at the end of the day, I think emotion gets you most of the way through the game, but talent prevails. So in that, I have the Buckeyes stealing a win against Michigan here.
I mean they're ranked ahead of Michigan. They wouldn't be necessarily stealing win, but I agree. At home, I think Ohio State gets this victory. I think it's a sad story for this Michigan team that has put together such a tremendous season, but injuries happen, and when you lose your starting quarterback, it's really hard to just throw the next guy in there. There's a reason that he's the starter, and no offense to the Michigan quarterback crew, this guy was the starter and he's out and there is a step back, especially on the road in like the biggest game every year for the Wolverines. Like this is I mean circled every single year, I guarantee on their calendar is going up against the Buckeyes. Like this is like one of the biggest games in college football, biggest rivalries in college, in any sports. I'm sorry. Uh, Always a tremendous game between these two. Always big implications in this game
Absolutely.
between these two because they are very historic, tradition, accomplished programs going against each other. But I think this year Ohio State being healthy, riding a nice wave of momentum at home, I do think they take care of business against a tough Michigan team that has put together an awesome season. But I see Ohio State win this kind of by double digits. I see.
Okay.
Yeah, I see almost like a 14.
I can see that too. And to go back to you saying stealing a win with the ranked higher, if Michigan, if Spates is healthy, I would have them ranked higher personally than Ohio State. So
I agree with you on that. I think if he was still starting, then I would probably take Michigan because Michigan's defense is no joke, and Jabril Peppers.
yeah.
I mean, you got two tremendous leaders on both sides. You got Spates, and then you have Peppers on the
right.
defensive side, and Michigan's defense is no joke. I mean, their cornerbacks are tremendous also. And this Michigan team is going to fight against Ohio State, but I think that lack of experience and kind of being thrown into the fire with like our season's on the line. You better win this game on the road against our biggest opponent.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of pressure riding this weekend on quarterback position at the University of Michigan. And so I think the bridge doesn't hold up. It caves in and it collapses for Michigan this season. They'll obviously get a tremendous bowl game, but in terms of getting to the biggest stage, I don't see it happening. And I do think Ohio State does get in, even though I think Penn State wins also. I have Ohio State getting in because this is a tremendous win, credible resume builder at the end of the season, taking care of business at home. Sure, Ohio State's in. Give me your fourth to make it in.
My fourth and final will be the winner of the Big Ten championship, and that will be Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I will take Wisconsin winning the Big Ten, and they've lost to Ohio State, Michigan, you know, 2 and 3 right now. I would have Michigan if they're. It's tough. You could
Yeah.
cut outside of Alabama. I think you could have. I mean, pick who you want.
Pick who
Pick
you
who you
want.
want.
Pick who
It's
you want.
this conference is the bottom's weak, but the top's loaded.
Loaded.
It's great. It's enjoyable football to watch for sure. So in that, I'll take Wisconsin winning and getting in as the last one.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Big Ten is absolutely loaded at the top. I mean, you look at Michigan, you look at Ohio State, you look at Wisconsin, you look at Penn State, you look at Maryland. Whoops. Uh, no, but you're right. They've proven this year that at the top they are tremendous competitors, and they all really do give an argument to say, hey, look, like why not us? And so yeah, I could see Wisconsin getting in, but they don't.
Oh, who do we have?
But they don't. I have your original pick. The Washington Huskies are gonna get in over Wisconsin. They are only gonna have one loss on the season. They're gonna beat Washington State this weekend. They're gonna play in the Pac-12 championship. Most likely, they will play Colorado. Colorado has a big game this week, though, against Utah that they need to win, but they do have the tiebreak with USC, I believe. So I think Colorado is in to the Pac-12 championship, and Washington will beat Colorado. And Washington, with one loss, beating two ranked teams in a row to end their season, will leapfrog Wisconsin, even though Wisconsin has a tremendous resume, just like Michigan, just like some of the other Big Ten teams. This is how it's going to be. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Who is this? Who you feel the committee's going to put in, or who you would put in?
This is what I think the committee is going to do.
Is this similar to your personal beliefs?
Yes. If Washington only has one loss and those two wins are how they end their season, then yes, I do think they deserve to be in. There's a lot of other teams and a lot of other scenarios that I could see happening as well. Like I think if for how well Oklahoma is playing, I think if Oklahoma beats OK State next week and Washington slips up on one of these, I think Oklahoma has a case to get in and say, hey, look, all we lost to was Houston, and who else did they lose to? Oklahoma lost to Clemson. No, Ohio State. They scheduled Ohio State. Their out of conference schedule was extremely tough. Houston and Ohio State. And I think for how well they've looked recently, I know Washington just had that skid mark, slip up against USC
at home.
Oklahoma's riding a very, very nice win streak right now. And if they keep winning, I think if Washington slips up, I can see Oklahoma leapfrogging them. I can see Wisconsin leapfrogging them. A lot of this is all very speculative to how we think some of these games are going to play out. I mean, if one team loses, they could go down to number 9 Colorado. If 9 Colorado ends up beating Washington, like they could squeak in. I mean, there's so many scenarios and so many teams still have a chance. Looking at a team like Washington, currently on the outside, has a game against Washington State, and then has a game against, most likely, Colorado. Two big games. If they win those, how do you keep them out? Wisconsin has Minnesota, and then they have possibly Penn State, and if Michigan pulls off the win, possibly has Michigan, and if they beat Michigan, they lost to them by 7 to start, and now Michigan doesn't have their starting quarterback. If Wisconsin beats number 7 Penn State and number 3 Michigan, of course they're in. I mean, the scenarios are endless right now for this college football playoff. Like literally, I can do this for an hour. I can do this for an hour. It is. Penn State has Michigan State. So let's say Penn State beats Michigan State. They go on. They're ahead of unless Michigan wins, Penn State does not get in. But if Ohio State wins, Penn State will get into the Big Ten championship. They will play Wisconsin. Let's say they beat Wisconsin. So they finish off the season against Michigan State, and they finish off the season against number 6 Wisconsin. And they're ranked 7th. Where do you put where do you put these teams? I honestly don't know. For one of
They're going to be
the
a
few times, in my analyst type career, it is so hard to predict what is going to happen in this college football playoff this weekend, Saturday. Please, folks, I hate to tell you to stay inside. Stay inside. Winter is here. Watch college football. This is going to be so exciting. I promise you. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I'm feeling bad for the teams that I already know we're going to put together a solid resume, and they should be in, but they're not going to be in.
Who?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure because it's a toss up this week, and you have no idea who's going to win.
No.
Any given Saturday or
yeah.
Sunday or whatever it be. I'm more of being the excited fan here. I want to watch the game.
Me too. I love it.
I want it. I feel bad. I feel bad for whoever doesn't make it because there are so many teams that could make it that they put together such a solid season that you can make a case for way more than just 4 teams. So outside of that, I'm just trying to enjoy it, and then we'll see what those knuckleheads that determine these rankings decide at the end of the season.
I don't want to get too far off subject. Do they need to expand?
Yeah,
okay.
I've been a fan of expanding it for a while.
How far?
More than 4. I'd say 8. Okay. Let's just at least get it past 4.
Okay.
I think after this year, with the resumes that are being built, that they're going to take note, and it's not a long process. Maybe next year they stick with 4, and then after that they go with 8. They moved it quickly when they did decide to go to 4. So with that, I think next year will be 4, and then hopefully for the betterment of the game and the fans, after that it'll be to 8.
I am 3,000% in agreement with you that it needs to go to 8. I think stretching it much past that, I don't think is a good idea, but I do think 8 needs to be the number because just like you said, there are so many teams and so many scenarios that could make a case for at least 8 of these teams. Even this year, it could maybe stretch to 12. People are saying number 12 USC still has a chance to get into the college football playoff. If they win and Colorado loses, they get to play Washington again, and then if they beat Washington again, I mean, literally, we could go on and on with even though there's only 1 or 2 games left in the season, with the scenarios that could take place with just these select games remaining. And so I agree fully with you that they need to go to 8 because I think a team like Oklahoma, who's ranked 8th right now, for how well they're playing, you throw them into that playoff, and they have a chance of reeling off a couple wins if the matchups are right for them. I mean, look at the first year they did this 14 playoff. The number 4 seed Ohio State Buckeyes won. They beat Alabama, who was the number 1 seed. So right away, the number 4 seed upset the number 1 seed. And who's to say this number 8 Oklahoma, like Ohio State did when they won, riding a lot of momentum, can't possibly make a case for the national championship? I mean, preseason they were ranked 3rd. So at one point, people thought they were the 3rd best team in the nation, and now they've fallen to 8. They've really climbed back to get where they are, and they do look good. So I agree with you that this needs to be extended to 8, and I think this year is a very, very good, a good reason and a good statement for people who agree with us to tell the committee, hey, we need to open this up to 8. It needs to be more like 8 because talent is being more balanced everywhere. A lot more teams have a chance to win this national championship. So your playoff is as follows, Stevie. Alabama will be in, Ohio State will be in, Clemson will be in, and Wisconsin will be in.
That's correct.
My scenario is Alabama will be in, Ohio State will be in, Clemson will be in, but I have Washington getting in versus Wisconsin. Jammers, give us your 4-team college football playoff after this, what you think it's going to look like after this weekend. This weekend is going to be absolutely insane. We're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Jam. Welcome back, Jammers and Jamettes. Big shout out, another big shout out to one of our sponsors is Silver Spring Social Sports. It's a Silver Spring Social Sports. It's a 21 and up league. If you want to get involved, you can go to silverspringSocialSports.com and sign up. They have games such as dodgeball, football, volleyball, soccer, and kickball. If any of those sound interesting and you want to play, 21 and up league. Have to be 21 years or older to play. You can go to silverspringSocialSports.com and sign up. Come out and play. All right, so let's move in now and talk NFL. College is crazy. Whoa.
Right.
Moving on. NFL now. Playoffs are coming up. Still got a couple weeks to iron out the kinks. Still have a couple weeks to make a move and get into the postseason. But let's recap some of our projections for last year or last week. Our Fantasy 5 projections for last week. I got 3 right that you quizzed me with, Stevie.
Boo.
And you got, what's that number? Oh, it's a 2. It's only 2. You got 2 right. Therefore, I win.
My guys just didn't put up enough points.
Oh, is that what the problem is? But wait, my guys didn't put up enough points. Yes, I know. I'm sorry for you. Are you okay?
No. Hey, check me out this week.
Okay, all right.
You won one by one.
All right,
So,
I did.
I'm ready this week.
All
I'm
right,
ready.
well, then I want a little bye for A.J. Green going out. I hope he's okay. But A.J. Green going out gave me 0 points against Mike Evans, with one of your picks.
Don't be mad at me because you picked somebody that's injury prone.
Whoa, come on now.
Well, shoot, 2 years got hurt. Prozac got hurt.
I
too.
know, and I still beat you. Two of my guys got hurt, and I still beat you.
My guys can't even catch the ball, though.
Then why'd you pick them?
Touche.
All right. Either way, it was a tight match. But I was able to pull off the W last week, which is nice. But you got me in the fantasy start. Your start team did better than my start team. You had Cousins, who went off.
Absolutely.
Stewart, who had a decent week. This is all PPR, for the record, Jammer fans. This is all in your PPR leagues. And then you also had Adams.
Thank you, Kirk.
Captain. And I had Mariota, who had a solid game. Latavius, solid game. Hopkins, solid game, but it wasn't enough to eclipse the tremendous game. The referees. That was a touchdown. All right, I want another. All my injuries and that touchdown. I want a recount. Let's go back to Florida several years ago in the election. I want a recount on that. Yeah, that should have been a touchdown. I'm hearing some conspiracy theories about that.
I made
game.
a few phone calls, so
let's move on. It happened. Whatever. They're both still playoff bound, both teams. But either way, you end up, you got me 52.5 points in your PPR league for your starts, 51.5 for me. You end up getting me. Yeah. You know, getting me in the sit start. So congratulations. It's a bunch of garbage. But let's move on to this week.
let's do it.
I mean, obviously, we are of the Redskins persuasion, would you say?
I'd have to say that I am a fan of the Redskins.
I mean, of the Redskins persuasion, this show, DC teams and Washington Redskins are no exception. We realize what is at stake this Thanksgiving. And I don't mean steak like the food. Thanksgiving being turkey. I'm talking about the matchup against the Dallas Cowboys, who are having a very nice season, solid. Big win against Green Bay at home. We're able to kind of revive ourselves after the playoff loss we had against them in Washington. This year we got the best of them. Felt good. Cousins riding some confidence, confident enough to go to his boss and let him know exactly how well he did. We have mixed opinions about that. But let's talk about this week. Short week for the Skins and for Dallas.
So to be fair, but going on the road into Cowboy Stadium, how is this Skins team going to perform? Obviously they played them earlier in the season, lost at home, didn't play our best. We've looked a lot better since then, but so has Dallas, to their defense. What's your outcome here, Steve?
Yeah, Dallas has pulled out a lot of wins against teams that have been surprisingly not as strong, in my opinion, as they should be. But in that sense, I think we didn't play our best the first go around. It's going to be tough for us to go to Dallas against a 9-1 team. All you have to do is show up that day and win that game. You can't do more than that. They're 9-1. So with that said, I'm not bringing turkey because I think the Redskins are going ham, and I had the Redskins winning. It's not going to be that bad. I have us winning 34-31. I hope so. Kirk, you better show up after that disrespectful action, in my opinion. But on that note, if you feel that great and you're that strong about your emotions, and you can show up against the team that you're doing all that emotion before, I'm all about it. Just show up.
There you go. Bring it.
You have to show up. So I have us winning by a field goal.
34-31, high scoring affair.
It is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the most logical thing to happen. I mean, both these teams have proven that they can put up points. But I think on a short week, I see a lower scoring situation here. I think with emotions and with some tiredness, I think it's going to be a lower scoring affair. I have a final score 17-24. And let me go over some of my key points for the Redskins before I give you a winner. Obviously, there's no doubt that we have to stop Zeke Elliott. Our rush defense has not been that good the whole season. It's been better of late, which is gives me hope that we can kind of slow their offensive line and Zeke Elliott on the run game. I'm confident in our ability to nullify their passing game. Last year, we didn't have Josh Norman. Breeland played against Dez. Breeland had a nice game in Dallas against Dez last year and really held him in check, kept him under control. I think Norman can keep him in check also and keep him under control. I think we need to have a nice pass rush on Dak, and I think we need to keep Elliott around 100. I think if we keep Elliott around 100, total 150, 125 to 150 yards, I think that we can still manage a win in this football game. With all this said, I don't think it happens.
Okay.
I just think Dallas and that offensive line is simply too good, and I want my Skins to win so bad, but as a DC sports fan, I've become so accustomed to, at the biggest moments where we have the chance to get over anything, to eclipse anything and become more than just household talk, we never do it. We always succumb to pressure, succumb to fear, whatever the case may be. Our teams seem to always let us down. Final score 17-24. I do think we hang, and I think it's going to be lower scoring. And in order for us to win this game, we need to force turnovers.
I'm surprised by our low total with 17, especially since this wave that we're riding on offensively with Kelly having an outstanding game last week.
Yeah, but they control the clock. Like, if we want to run the ball with Kelly, that's going to waste time on the clock, and they're going to run the ball too. It's good. There's not going to be a lot of possessions,
totally
in my opinion.
in the pass game.
They are, and I hear you, but they will still maintain the clock. And I think if I was them, they don't want to go toe to toe with us through the air. Like, no offense to Dak, but they don't want to. Like, their secondary is not good. Our secondary is way better. They do not want to go toe to toe in a aerial attack game. They would much rather keep it hey, let's run the football, let's maintain the clock, and that's what they're going to do. That is what they're going to do, and they're going to make it so that Cousins can't throw 3 or 4 touchdowns to Crowder and to everyone else. They're going to make it
How
so
are they going to make it? How are they just going to magically make that happen?
Well,
we don't need. I'll give you time of possession if we're this efficient offensively. So in that, I'm not confident in saying that we will win, but I'm more than confident in saying that we will score over 17 points. So pick and choose here, but in that, I'm hoping we win. And Kirk, that was disrespectful. You better show up this week.
I really hope he does. I just think Dallas has a lot of key ingredients to nullifying what our strengths are, which is kind of getting in a fast pace type game. Dallas, I don't think they build themselves for that. I think they would rather have we're going to beat you up, we're going to just keep running the ball, and we're going to slow the game down type of game plan. And I think it works just because our rush defense isn't good enough, I think, to get them off the field enough times to give Cousins the ball. I don't think Dak gets much through the air because I'm confident in our secondary to kind of handle their receivers. But I think they have just enough of a punch to get us. I hate to say it.
Fair enough.
But even though the turkey will be good, the loss is going to taste bad on Thanksgiving. 17-24, I have the Skins going down. But let's talk about something a little more uplifting. Me beating you at Fantasy Fast 5. Here it is. Okay.
All right.
Now we're feeling better.
Yeah, shoot.
Let's get into.
I was feeling good the whole time. I picked the Skins anyway, so you're the one riding the low.
I
want
to be wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Jammer fans, call me out. Say you don't know what you're talking about. Dallas is overrated. Tell me. Let me feel your confidence because I just it's hard to feel it and it's hard to picture it because I think Dallas has a good game plan. I think they know what they want to do and they've been doing it to just about every team. I know their schedule has been pretty easy, but I'm perfectly comfortable next week with coming on this show and telling you how dumb I am for taking the Cowboys over the Skins.
Okay.
I want to tell you
on
that.
On to the Fast Five.
Okay, thank you.
On to the Fast Five.
Who do you got for me? QB, Fantasy Fast 5. What do you got? What's your matchup?
I have Phillip Rivers at the Texans or Matt Stafford at home versus the Vikings.
I'll take Rivers.
Rivers?
I've been impressed with Stafford's performance so far this year, and I don't know where it's coming from. And I think he's going to start reverting to some of his poorer numbers that I expected him to have with the loss of Calvin Johnson. And so I'm going to take Rivers, who kind of still has the same crew that he's typically put up points with, but they've found a way to lose games. I'm going with Rivers.
All right, here you go.
I have Jameis Winston versus Seattle or Colin Kaepernick versus Miami.
That's a good one. I'm going to go with That's a good one. I'm gonna go with Winston just because I'm gonna go with Winston just because he needs to put up points because I think it is one of my questions. I think Doug Martin gets shut down and they're more, Seattle's more than willing to let Winston try and air it out. So he'll have his 2 picks, I think, but he'll also have 2 touchdowns.
I mean, Evans is no slouch. I give respect to secondary Seattle, but Evans isn't. He's not a child. This is a child's play anymore. So
yeah, no. So in that, I think Kaepernick's a safer pick, but for terms of the game, I'll go with Winston.
Okay, all right. Well, let me give you a little running back dissection here. Dissect this one for me. I have Frank Gore versus Pitt, or Latavius Murray versus Carolina.
This is all dependent on Andrew Luck's head. Does he have his head on his shoulders?
Currently, he is projected out.
Out.
And so they will have to go with Scott Tolzien at quarterback. So Frank Gore and Tolzien will be behind the line. So what do you think?
I'll go with Frank Gore. I think this guy's going to get, let's see, at least 25 touches. So, I'll take a comfortable 25 touches versus a Pittsburgh defense rather than a Murray having 12 to 13 touches, splitting some carries in the backfield and catching a few as he did against the Texans. So I'll go with the touch route there.
Okay.
I have for you Rashard Jennings at Cleveland, or Jeremy Hill with the Bernard injury at Baltimore.
This one's a no-brainer. Jennings versus Cleveland. Jeremy Hill is the last resource now. Well, I guess they still have Eifert, but that's not enough. Baltimore is a very mature defense, very smart. They played a very tough game against a good Dallas team, and they threw a lot of different blitz packages. It was a very, very well-coached football game on both sides for those teams. And Cincinnati is going to be hurting without A.J. Green and Giovanni. They know that Hill is going to have to touch the ball a lot, and they will make the necessary adjustments to completely stop that. And therefore, Jennings, who had a very good game last week, is going to have a nice game against Cleveland.
Okay. Easy decision noted.
What do you think about Doug Martin versus Seattle? I already know your opinion on that one. Or Shady coming off thumb surgery versus Jacksonville, who's been a good defense too.
I'll go with Shady. I think this is just you only need, I guess, one thumb to carry the football. Maybe if he's healthy and he's out there, he's ready to play. According to all reports that I've read, he's ready to go. Yeah, he just had surgery earlier in the week. So
didn't have surgery on his legs, right?
Yeah, right. No kidding. The guy's not running with the thumb. So with that said, and as I alluded to earlier, I think Seattle's going to focus on keeping Doug Martin in check, and I'll go with Shady in this one.
Okay. What do you got for me?
I have similar question: Doug Martin versus Seattle, or Latavius Murray versus Carolina.
Ooh, I think Murray. I do think Seattle's defense is going to be enough to nullify Doug Martin. He's still kind of coming back from his injury and hasn't looked 100% yet. And so I just don't love it, especially on the road. Oh no, they're at home, but still, a Seattle defense that travels. They travel. I think that Latavius is going to get enough action. I think Del Rio is starting to find how to really make and maximize his team to getting them all in position to be extremely successful and making extremely big plays. And they had a nice win against Denver, had a nice win against Houston last week. They're riding a lot of momentum, and I think Murray is part of that. And I think Del Rio knows how to get him in position to succeed. And I think he's gonna have a nice game.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna give you wide receiver now. We're going to move on to wide receiver. I'm going to give you Nelson Aguilar against a Green Bay defense, or Emmanuel Sanders versus Kansas City.
I'll go with the guy who can actually catch the ball. So give me Sanders all day, every day. All day, I don't want to pick the guy who says he needs to get out of his own head, because he's already in his own head thinking about he's in his own head. So I have to go with Sanders here by default.
Okay, even though Green Bay just got torched by everybody.
You have to catch the ball. You have to catch the ball to score points if you're a receiver, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So on that, I feel comfortable in saying Sanders. I pray to God that next week I'm not vouching for Aguilar's performance, because it's been there's a.
I'm gonna put a star next to this.
I forget. I think it's FundMe. Somebody started a FundMe to cut Nelson Aguilar, and the goal is $2.3 million. This is terrible. I feel terrible for the guy, but at the same time, if a fan's starting a FundMe to cut you can't be picked. You can't be picked.
We want Riley Cooper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody but this guy.
Just kidding.
Yeah, anybody but this guy.
All right.
So yeah, I'll give you mine too, and then you give me your last one.
Okay.
All right, so I have Devontae Parker versus San Francisco, or Randall Cobb at Philly.
Devontae Parker is such a up and down. That's a roller coaster ride, because Tannehill is unpredictable. I'm going to take Parker. He led their team virtually by himself on one drive to really take them over the edge in their last game. And I think he showed Tannehill enough to say, hey, look, give me the ball. Like, it's okay. Like, don't be afraid. You know, I'm going to run the right route. I'll be there. Don't be afraid to throw it. Give me the ball. I'm going to take Parker. I don't know why I just said that.
Okay, all right. My second wide receiver, last one altogether, is Mitchell, Brady's new weapon at the Jets, or Jeremy Maclin at Denver.
Oh man, this is tough because I don't know if Mitchell's going to get a lot of minutes. You know, he kind of played because there were some injuries, and now people are coming back, and I don't know how much action he's really going to get. I'm going to take Maclin by default, just because I think he's going to be on the field more. I just don't know how much Mitchell's going to be on the field. Fantasy owners don't think last week is going to be a direct representation of this week because the Patriots love to switch stuff up. They like to keep you guessing. So I'm going to take Maclin. I think Maclin comes back and at least gets 5 points, and Mitchell maybe has 3. I mean, this is going to be low.
Okay.
So give me, Stevie, Shepard for the Giants at Cleveland, or Matthews of the Titans against Chicago.
I have to go with Shepard on this one, and I think it's Matthews has been on fire. I think he's scored 4 straight weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
Dude, he's been frying. I can tell you.
He has been, but I think the Chicago game's going to be a routing. Chicago has nobody. It's going to be you're going to have to run the ball. Murray's going to have a day. He's going to have a field day, I think, because Chicago's not going to be able to score any points. So in that, I think the pass game's going to be limited only by the score in that sense. So with that, I'll take Shepard against the pretty weak Cleveland secondary.
Okay, fair enough. No, Shepard's been a nice target for Eli, and yeah, Cleveland is not good. And Matthews has been on a tear. That was a tough one. So thank you for your insight on that. If you have any of these matchups, Jammer fans, if you have some of these players and they have interesting matchups, if it's not exactly like this and we can't aid in your growth in your fantasy leagues, let us know what matchups you got. Send us a message. Say, hey, look, I got this going on and I got this guy on the bench. What do I do? Give me some insight. Let us know.
Absolutely.
Leave us a comment and let us know because we'd love to help you. So, Stevie, let's move on to our next segment. We love doing the QB or the fantasy sit start. QB, right, running back, wide receiver, sit start, who we think is going to blow it up and who we think is going to blow it up, if you know what I mean. Okay? So, let's move on to our fantasy sit. Who do you think these jammers should avoid at the quarterback position this week?
I'm going to have to go with Matt Stafford against the Vikings. The Vikings D has been solid. They're built to play in front. They struggle if they're down because their offense is struggling, but their defense shows up. They're not giving a lot of points.
Wait a second. What? Stafford versus Jacksonville?
No, I'm sitting Stafford versus Minnesota.
Yes, you're saying that they're struggling when they're down, when he's like almost leading the league in like fourth quarter comebacks. They're struggling when they're down?
No, Minnesota is.
Oh, Minnesota.
Minnesota's defense is built to continue the lead.
Yes.
If they build the lead.
Absolutely.
That was my argument. So in that note, I'm just going to go with Stafford's struggles, as you were alluding to earlier. You think he kind of retracts to his normal play. Mm-hmm. So in that, I'm going to go with sitting Stafford. I think there are better options out there.
Sure.
Who do you have?
At my sit, I have one Andrew Dalton of the TCU Horned Frogs. Sit Andy Dalton at Buffalo. Just lost Giovanni Bernard. Just lost AJ Green. This is going to be tough for him. It is now going to be a very, very uphill battle for him and Jeremy Hill because they know now, hey, look, we're just going to bring everybody at you. We'll be running everybody at you, and we're not afraid. We'll run one-on-one matchups all day against you guys, and we're not scared. And so Dalton's going to have a tough day against a Buffalo defense that knows how to get it done, especially at home. So if you have Dalton, find something else, really. What do you got for me at the start position, Stevie, at the QB?
I'm starting Tyrod. I'm starting Tyrod versus Jacksonville. The guy's going to get it done with his legs. So, Shady may be banged up. I still think he has a good day in that. But I think Taylor scores 3 total touchdowns, and I'm comfortable with that as a start. So I'm going to go with Tyrod here.
Okay. My start, and I know you didn't like Aguilar, but eventually people do find their hands, Ted Ginn last year. Aguilar against Green Bay, I think, is going to have a good day. I think you're going to lose that against Emmanuel Sanders. And I think Carson Wentz is going to have a good day against Green Bay. Because this Green Bay defense has proven that they can't stop anything. I mean, it could be grandma's cookies coming at them, and they're not going to stop it. So I think Wentz is going to have a nice day dissecting this defense. He's not projected a significant amount. I think he beats his projection, and I think if you have someone such as Dalton, if you have someone such as Stafford, I think you might find value in Wentz because I think he's going to overperform against a Green Bay defense that is reeling and struggling, and that's going to be on the road. They have to come to Philly, and I like it. Yeah, no, I see Wentz having a good day. So what do you got for me at the start running back position? Who should they jump on if you have them?
Jump on. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
No.
Jonathan Stewart.
Jonathan Stewart again.
This
no.
guy. He has to show up. Yes, he's going to show up. He had a terrible performance in my stardom last week. The guy gets it together this week. I think the Panthers, this is what I wanted to mention later on in the show, but I'll go ahead and mention it. The Panthers take care of Oakland, and I think they beat them in good fashion. So I'll take the Panthers, and with that, I have Stewart having a good day, and Cam was also somebody I considered as a stardom, as a top quarterback, which he typically is, but he's underperformed lately in terms of fantasy. But with that, I'll go with Stewart again, and it's on me if I'm wrong again, but I won't be wrong again.
You are not allowed to take Stewart for the rest of the year if you get this wrong again, okay?
Fair.
Can we agree?
That's fair.
And those are some pretty bold predictions you got against the Carolina team that's been, showing that they're getting it back. But against the Oakland team that's really starting to say, hey, look, we're here, and keep throwing people at us because we're gonna keep getting better. But okay, at my start, I'm gonna go with Thomas Rawls, Seattle running back at Tampa Bay. Procise out with an injury, fractured shoulder blade. If you have Procise on your roster, you need to update it because Thursday comes quick, folks. There's some games going on Thursday, so this is just a little side ditty. Make sure you update your roster for Thursday because there's several games. But Procise now out. It's the Rawls show now. Seattle's offense has been rolling the past couple weeks. Finally, this is what we waited to see from Seattle, was them to get going because they were very sluggish to start the season. Not good. Lost to the Rams 9-6. Some kind of disgusting offensive performance. They're starting to get it going. Rawls getting healthy. Now he's going to be the main man. Rawls
it is.
at Tampa Bay. What do you got for me at the sit?
I'm sitting Ingram versus the Rams. So the Rams play solid D. They just have no offense, essentially. They played well through, I'd say, 85% of the game last week against the Dolphins, and they just gave up 2 late touchdowns. So with that, I'm going to go with the Rams defense as well as Ingram. Still kind of in a timeshare there with Hightower. Still sharing carries, and the Saints have proven it. If they're down, I'm not saying they're down, but if they are down, Hightower's the better pass catcher, and he'll get his points that way. So in that, I'm sitting Ingram this week against the Rams.
Yeah, and they've been splitting touches. I could see it. Definitely, I could see it. Okay. I am going to take Theo Riddick versus Minnesota. I think we're about to see another run here from Minnesota, Stevie.
Okay.
I think they've settled down. That was a very nice win they had last week against Arizona. I mean, very, very convincing win. Defensive touchdowns. And they feed off their defense.
They do.
If their defense is rolling, they can make things happen. And I think Riddick is going to have a tough day against this Minnesota's defense. And so if you have him, I suggest that you find a better option or keep him at your flex. Don't have a lot of confidence in Riddick versus Minnesota because I think they're gaining a little bit of confidence, and I would be worried.
So with the combination of our sits, I have Stafford sitting and you have Riddick sitting. So with that said, I think we should probably find better options outside the Lions offense this week if we can find some reasonable replacements.
I agree. Yeah, offensively, Lions possibly going to struggle against a Minnesota defense that maybe has got their confidence back, their swag back. So,
yeah, right.
What do you have for me at the wide receiver sit position, Stevie?
I'm sitting Brandon Marshall versus New England. The guy's a solid wide receiver 1-2 every year, but Fitzpatrick, Ryan needs to get it together. Jets are kind of in limbo. Do they go to Bryce Petty? Do they not? If you throw in Bryce Petty, you kind of throw in the season, just to get this guy reps. I think if they move on from Fitzpatrick, then it's kind of just sending the wrong message to the locker room. And in that, I'm gonna sit Marshall because either way, I think the Patriots defense, they have some kinks to work out, but in that they know how to shut down the Jets, and I'm going to go ahead and sit him.
I hear you. And despite their record, their organization is possibly just as bad as San Francisco or Cleveland right now. I mean, it is an absolute mess in New York. And so I agree with you. I wish I would have wrote that down myself. Great insight there. I'm going to go with Will Fuller versus San Diego. And Will Fuller hasn't been healthy. And they kind of brought him back last week or, Monday night against Oakland in Mexico City. Didn't get necessarily a lot of targets. I don't think he's fully healthy yet. They started using Braxton Miller a little bit more. I don't like Will Fuller versus San Diego. I just think until you see the production that we saw out of him the first 2 or 3 weeks in the season, I would kind of keep him on the bench. And so I'm gonna take Will Fuller as my sit against San Diego.
Okay, I like it. With my stardom, my sit him last week, my stardom this week, I'll go with Diggs at Detroit. I think he has a solid day. I think he has 8 catches, 100 plus yards and a touchdown. So that's a start for me. So I'll go ahead and start Diggs with confidence there.
Okay.
Who do you have?
I'm gonna go with Willie Snead of the New Orleans Saints. I think they're going against an LA defense that is mature, that knows how to kind of limit their options, but the Saints are deep. They have a lot of options. So if they take away the first and or second option, at least the third option, a very, very nice day. I think Snead's going to have a nice day because I think LA is going to try and handle Cooks. They're going to try and handle Michael Thomas, and it's going to be the Snead show. And so I see Snead having a very nice day against this LA defense that has proven to be tough, and I mean they've put together a decent season.
Yeah, solid breakdown. I like it.
With respect. Okay, that's it right there, folks. I mean that's our Fantasy Fast 5.
Oh, can I throw something in?
Oh, here it is.
The Browns get their first win of the season this week against the Giants. I'll go ahead and say it. Browns over the Giants this week.
I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, if that's how we're ending the show, then I'll just cut it now.
All I'm asking is to say, solid choice next week.
I think that could come true. You heard it first.
Yeah, I'm not here for possibilities. I'm here for confidence.
True. That's true. You and Kirk Cousins, how you like me now? He says he's taking the Browns. He said, how you like me now?
I'll take the Browns this week.
Okay, I like it. I like that little bit of confidence in you. You know it. Let's go Browns. Bobbert coming back.
No. McCown.
McCown getting the start. RG3 Still on the bench there. But I think that's all we got for our jammers today. Fantasy Fast 5, also our fantasy sit and start. If you have any fantasy questions, anything at all, let us know. Leave us a comment on this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Add us on Facebook, Cam Sports Jam. Leave us a message on Facebook. And we love to interact with you guys. We're also on Twitter, Cam Sports Jam, and we're also on Instagram, Cam Sports Jam Show on Instagram. So please, we ask that you guys interact with us. We love to talk fantasy with you. We love to talk college football with you because, man, it's going to be interesting. We'd love to hear your insight on how you think it's going to fully play out. So let us know, Jammer fans. Again, shout out to all of our sponsors, Silver Spring Social Sports, Good Samaritans Medical Transport, and also Junk Masters. Go Skins.
Oh, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. So.
Go Skins. Let's go Skins. Have a great Thanksgiving, yes. Jammer fans. As always, thanks for jamming with us. Remind you, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Have a great holiday. We're